Hello? Okay, I think I have figured this out. Okay, well, okay. I am learning. I am learning to do this well. Okay. All right. We're gonna get this done. All right, I'm gonna go here so that I can record. Okay. All right, so welcome to the Honest Advent book study right here. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put our little Instagram friends here online as well. Let me get this rolling. Every time I open an Instagram lately, everybody has their beautiful trees up, and I'm feeling a little left behind. All right, so I have my Instagram people down here. Hi, Instagrammers. You're down there. And I have my Facebook people up here. So I'm going to be doing the back and forth. So welcome to today's Honest Advent. Today we are going to start talking about this amazing book by Scott Erickson. So if you have not gotten this book already, I highly recommend you get it off of Amazon, off of my website. That always helps me. Or you can do Audible, whatever you want. So, hi Des. Good morning. Actually, it's not good morning. It's afternoon. So, like I said, we're going to be talking about Honest Advent today and just talking about the introduction. I wanted to read some of this stuff. It's been pretty fun because last night my husband and I actually sat down and read this together, and it was just neat to hear his perspective and to hear each other's hearts for it. So if you want to do it with your spouse, it's a great little book at night to kind of read over together. So all right, so Honest Advent, awakening to the wonder of God with us then, here, and now. Isn't that such a cool picture? I love that. And I know my sister-in-law, she is pregnant, and so it's really cool. I always loved being pregnant during Christmas time. It always brought so much more depth and realism to it. And it also can be a very hard season for people that are struggling, that may not be pregnant and want to be pregnant. So I realize that too. So I tread softly and tenderly, and just know that you are thought of right now. So grab your tea. I have my famous afternoon tea, snuggle season. That's a kind of cheesy one, but it was the only mug left in my cabinet. And all right, let's get rolling. Okay. The other thing I was going to say too, if you haven't listened to the Holistic Hearts podcast with Scott Erickson, it is phenomenal. It's very long. I could have broken it up into 2 different podcasts, but I left it together only because I just wanted to get everything out as soon as we could. And he was amazing. So it was a lot on creativity. It was a lot on finding time to create in the midst of being a parent of young kids. And so I encourage you to go listen to it. I'll put the link in the comments too. And if you're on Instagram and you are wanting to find that link, then go to Holistic Hearts in the bio. All right, so it's broken up into 25 chapters, and so it's about once a day in December. So, and like I said, this is going to be the most laid back book study ever. So there's no pressure. And some days I might not be able to get to that day. And then we'll Zoom till day 4 or talk about little bits and pieces. So just didn't want to bring more pressure to the holiday season. All right. So I love how Scott brought in this stark dichotomy of so much going on in the world. And it's funny because this book was written 4 years ago during the last election. And he talked about all the different things that was going on in that year. He talked about, actually, I'm just going to read this paragraph. We had just finished an exhausting and divisive election. We were overwhelmed by the destruction in Syria. We had an unprecedented year of school shootings, Zika, Flint water crisis, etc. And then came Christmas. Lights, catchy songs, sweets, cheer, mistletoe, hey-oh. And if you live in North America, you're familiar with the candy cane striped juggernaut of seasonal branding that overlays every part of society like a fresh dusting of snow this time of year. Almost every aspect of Western society is decorated with holiday cheer. And I know for me, that feels very real in 2020, right? Where we are sitting in the dichotomy of this being one of the hardest and most resilient building years we've ever walked in, and coming into a Christmas season full of joy and the offering of chaos and bright Christmas cheer and all of those things can be such a dichotomy. And in a lot of ways, like my friend Megan, some of you guys know Beautiful Exchange, Megan Nielsen, she has this beautiful study called, Megan, I hope I get it right, The Weary World Rejoices. And it's all about finding this peace in the midst of a weary world. And that's exactly what like Scott's hitting on right here. So, all right, I'm going to keep reading. He's talking about his wife being pregnant and how he has witnessed the birth of three children, and one being very recent, and how the experience of birth actually was very, what does he say? I'm right here. New visual vocabulary to help me along in this journey. How it was messy, and how we don't get that picture in a lot of our Christmas that we experience. So he started to write this book, and he said, I needed something honest, something real, something with some human grit and a little less green and red in it. So if you're not familiar with the terminology, the season of Advent is the period of 4 Sundays and weeks leading up to the celebration of Christmas Day. Advent means coming in Latin, and these weeks are meant to prepare our hearts, minds, and souls for the arrival of God with us, Jesus Christ, born to the Virgin Mary a couple of millennia ago. You're supposed to feel the weight. And I love this because he did a word play. So he did W-A-I-T, not the like heavy weight, but like the patience weight. So we're supposed to feel the weight, the anticipated arrival of something you want so badly. And by feeling the weight deeply, you'll be even more satisfied by the celebration of the arrival on Christmas Day. And I love that, because I don't know if you're like me, but when I have those moments of coming to Jesus moments where there's this anticipation of, I can't wait to look at Jesus face to face, there's this beauty in the patience of waiting on the Lord. Another thing he says is, what's surprising is, that's what is maybe surprising about all of this to me. We don't celebrate Christmas like a memorial service, but more like a birthday party. And I love this because he is actually bringing the realness into it. Like, what did Mary feel, And we'll get to that in day 1, but just the sheer shock of, there's an angel in my room telling me that I'm going to have a baby that was given to me by God. I mean, the reality of that in itself is like, it's crazy to imagine, right? So, hi, Angela on Instagram. Who's with me on Facebook? I can't really see who's on. So shout your name on the comments if you're on. And if you have your book, Does anybody have their book yet? All right. So one of the things I wanted to really dig into, and if you've listened at all to any of my podcasts, that part of my journey was coming from a place of checking boxes and making sure that all of my things were checked off. But there was this longing of having a genuine relationship with Jesus, a sweetness there that could morph and move. And I love because Scott uses these words so beautifully to describe what was in my spirit for so long. So, all right, here it goes. So on page 6, it says, this is true. Actually, let me back up so you get the context. We can all get caught up with our language and body positioning and forget that these are just the invented structures that help us connect to what prayer is really all about, abiding in the love of God. So he's talking about prayer. This is true about all our sacred liturgies and services as well. They are just the visible mechanics that help us get to the invisible essence of the love of God. Often we can become too obsessed with the mechanics, substituting them for the essence, which is completely understandable. It's comforting to be able to hold on to something tangible versus the unseen wild goose of the holy mystery. I love that. And I'm going to read it again because it's such a great, hi Jess. It's such a great verse, such a great sentence. It's comforting to be able to hold on to something tangible versus the unseen wild goose of the holy mystery. This is how some faith communities become so obsessed with the style of music, certain ceremonial practices, or just anything that has a lot of nostalgia in it. Woo! Preach! Anybody else feel that? Gosh, I feel like I've been in a long season of breaking that off. Just because it's tradition doesn't mean it's truth. And just because it's what we do, and there is beauty in that, but I love that he brings in the Holy Spirit can be described as a wild goose. And he talks about that in that sentence that I read a couple times of how he is a wild goose. And we have to switch it up because he's so wild and he's so much bigger than outside, so much bigger than the box that we put him in. And I love that. And how can we take that and the traditions that we have in our church, in our Bible studies, in our day-to-day quiet time and routine, and allow the wild goose of holy mystery to move us in new ways? How amazing is that? So familiarity is a helpful tool, but familiarity kills wonder. That's so good. So good. Wonder is most accessible in new situations because we don't have a narrative about what's happening. And he goes on to talk about how when you travel to a new city for the first few days, you're just in awestruck wonder. And then you kind of get tired of it. And so you want to move on to the next city. And I thought about how living in Colorado Springs, we have the most gorgeous, I'm looking outside, gorgeous, beautiful mountains, and how I can walk out to my car and totally ignore it because it's just familiar. But I love how, yes, Jess, like the familiarity kills the wonder. And I love that because it brings in such a childlike experience of life back into play. We get to explore. And I remember too when I was a kindergarten teacher, I was so young. I was 22, 23. And I hadn't been around young kids in a long time. And I remember being fascinated when we would go out to PE and they would be amazed, awestruck, wonder would fill their minds as they looked at like a leaf or like a bug on the ground. And I remember just tucking that in and being like, wow, I have not appreciated the wonder and the awe and the small things, and watching it through their eyes brought so much light. So that is my prayer as we go through this book through December, that we can go through such a familiar season. For me, I mean, this is year 39 of Christmas, and of course there's going to be a lot of familiarity, but I pray for myself, I pray for my family, I pray for all of you listening, that you would all be in awe and wonder, that there's something that shifts in your spirit this season more than ever, of the beauty that Jesus came as a baby, the most humbling, dependent being that could be, and be awestruck by it. Let's see if there's anything else that I wanted to mention. On page 11, this is interesting. He will push some buttons. So I love this and I told Scott that I love this because it really helped. Hi, Bella. Oh, I see you on Instagram. He really does a good job of kind of shaking things off that make you really go to the Father for a connection and be like, what am I feeling here? And with the art itself, like tomorrow we'll start looking at the art, and he talks about in the introduction to make sure that you ask yourself, what is this art pulling out of me? What is coming up for me? And that's an opportunity for you to go in front of the Father and ask, hey, what's this about? Why am I feeling this? What struck me about this picture? So if you're going to be following along, I would love for you to engage in the comments and let me know what is striking you each day. This is not just my book study and what I think. I would love to hear what you guys think. So, okay, I wanted to read one more thing on sanitation, which was so good. All right, so back when I started making these illustrations, I began to share these images and meditations on Instagram and Facebook, and had an overwhelming response, specifically from women. It doesn't take much research to see that the majority of our Christmas imagery has been created by men, and I don't think it's too much to project that those men felt that the reality of birth must be sanitized in our cultural celebration of Christmas. I mean, I get it. A birth is a roller coaster ride of biological wonder that is not for the faint of heart. But I do think this sanitization has added another painful layer to the experience that women can have in Western religion. And we need to address it and push it against it. Female biology has been stigmatized by mainstream religion for too long as an avenue for wayward lust, as a means of bloody uncleanliness or subservient incarnation to those who don't have a uterus. And yet right there in the text is a celebration of a woman's biology as the means in which the divine incepted grew and emerged into this world it loves so much. If you've ever witnessed a birth, you know that every birth is a holy experience. Yes, and amen. Can I get an amen? Yes, I cannot wait to dive into that. Just the beauty that women have been created by God, and the messy, all the messy and the good and the beautiful. So cannot wait. All right. I think I covered most of what I wanted to cover for the introduction. And tomorrow we'll start on chapter 1. And again, like I said, I really, really would love your input, your opinions, your pushback. There might be some pushback. There might be, I don't know, a story that you might have that you would like to share. I would love to be able to share that on here with other women, with other people that are following along. Also, I wanted to let you know that on Instagram, I'm going to put another link on Instagram. There's a lady that is doing a yoga series along with this book, which I thought was amazing. One of my all-time favorite books is Embracing the Body, which correlates with the end of that chapter, just talking about the body and its beauty and how we have shamed our bodies, especially within the church, that it's wrong and sinful, and equated that with bad. And so between Scott Erickson, the lady that's doing the yoga, and the Embracing the Body, y'all, there's going to be some breakthrough, I think, through this awe and wonder of a season. So I would love for you to share this if it spoke to you. If you have a friend that is wanting to join an Advent study this season, then go ahead and share. I'd love to do a Christmas drawing, maybe for a free silver package for the Heavenly Commission in January. That would be so much fun to give away. So I think that's about it. That's the other announcement, is today is Cyber Monday. Today is the last day you get 30% off of the Heavenly Commission course. If you want to find out more, you can go on Holistic Hearts and listen to the Heavenly Commission course. It's all about identity, missions, and goals, all based off of kingdom mindset. So I think that's it, friends. All right. Have a great Monday.